And let's be real. Was the Ford 427 Cammer actually quicker than the 426 Hemi? The 60s were the wildest era of American motorsport, a time when speed was everything and pride was on the line. Beneath all that engine thunder, two giants went head-to-head, Ford and Chrysler. Ford rolled out the 427 SOHC Cammer, a straight-up monster of an engine, pushing out around 650-plus horses. It was raw, unpredictable, and mean as hell. That overhead cam setup was pure innovation, but it came with its own headaches. It was tricky to keep reliable, and NASCAR didn't exactly welcome it with open arms. In fact, it got banned not long after its debut, stirring up a ton of controversy. With NASCAR off the table, Ford didn't back down. They took the Cammer straight to the drag strips, and man, that thing tore it up. It screamed down the quarter mile like it had something to prove. Sure, it was temperamental, needed constant tuning and attention, but when it was dialed in right, it was an absolute animal. Meanwhile, Chrysler wasn't sitting around. They fired back with the legendary 426 Hemi, a powerhouse that became the crown jewel of NASCAR. This thing had muscle and manners. It was brutally strong yet incredibly reliable. The Hemi came out swinging, crushed Daytona in '64, and ended the season with more than 24 wins. It was so dominant that people started crying foul, claiming it wasn't a true production engine, which led to it getting banned the following year too. So yeah, this wasn't just a rivalry. It was an all-out war between two engineering masterpieces. Both engines pushed the limits, rewriting what American muscle could do on and off the track. The Cammer had the wild spirit, the Hemi had the discipline. Which one truly ruled the asphalt? That's the kind of debate that'll keep car lovers arguing for decades. Stick around, because we're diving deep, from dyno tests to race records, to find out which of these legendary beasts really earned the crown as the ultimate king of speed. Now here's where it gets tricky. You can't just glance at horsepower charts or factory numbers and call it a day. Both of these legendary motors have been tuned, rebuilt, and pushed way past their original specs over the years. And honestly, their racing stories only make the comparison even messier. The first big difference comes down to how they were built. The Ford 427 Cammer and the Chrysler 426 Hemi were both made to do one thing: dominate. But they took totally different engineering paths to get there. The Cammer was all about that advanced overhead cam setup, letting it breathe like a high-strung race motor, while the Hemi flexed its iconic hemispherical chambers, designed for big, smooth power and bulletproof strength. Those design choices completely change how each engine behaves, especially when you're screaming past redline at high RPMs. But here's the thing. The era these beasts were born in matters too. Ford was basically in full catch-up mode, throwing every ounce of tech and creativity they had at the Cammer to go toe-to-toe with Chrysler's Hemi, which had already proven itself a total track killer. The Hemi had NASCAR trophies, drag wins, and a rep that scared competitors before the lights even dropped. Still, it's not all about history or spec sheets. To really figure out which one's got the upper hand, you've got to look at how they perform when it actually counts. Real-world head-to-head battles, where the cars are evenly matched, and the only thing separating victory from defeat is the heart of the engine. So, let's dive into what really went down when the Cammer and the Hemi went face-to-face. Same ground, same rules, and nothing holding them back. Back in the early '60s, Ford cooked up the 427 Cammer as part of a master plan to finally shake Chrysler off its throne. At that time, the Hemi was tearing up drag strips everywhere, and Ford needed a serious contender. Enter the Cammer, a game-changer with its overhead cam design, something most American V8s weren't rocking yet. That setup let the engine scream at crazy high RPMs, giving Ford an edge where speed really mattered. In its most tuned-up form, the Cammer could push past 500 horsepower, but it wasn't just about raw numbers. The magic was in the precision, how the engine was built to rev cleanly, hard, and fast. On the track, it made a name for itself, dominating SCCA road races and making waves in NHRA drag events. Even with a short production run and limited numbers, the Cammer left a mark that couldn't be ignored. Ford had crafted a high-revving beast that could square off with the Hemi toe-to-toe. Now, let's talk about the Hemi. Chrysler's pride and joy, developed in the late '50s, was all about one thing: raw power. Those hemispherical combustion chambers. Pure genius, they made burning fuel more efficient, pushing the horsepower way up. Chrysler even threw in a cross-ram intake manifold to supercharge airflow, giving the Hemi a little extra kick at the top end. By the time it hit its prime, race-spec Hemis were cranking out over 600 horsepower. On the track, the Hemi was a legend. From NHRA drag strips to NASCAR circuits, it became known for crushing competition while staying tough and reliable. Its endurance and rock-solid performance made it the benchmark. If you were racing against a Hemi, you knew you were in for a fight. Both of these monsters became instant favorites with racers and gearheads alike. Sure, they were both built to go fast, but they came from totally different playbooks. The Hemi was all about raw muscle and bulletproof durability, while the Cammer focused on high-revving precision and letting the engine scream like a race car should. But when it comes to a face-to-face showdown, the real question is, whose philosophy actually makes you faster? Let's get into the numbers. One of the most talked-about matchups was a quarter-mile drag between a Ford Mustang packing a Cammer and a Dodge Charger rocking a Hemi. And man, the results turned some heads. Even though the Charger had more raw horsepower, the Mustang slammed the finish line in 12.4 seconds, while the Charger came in at 12.9. So how did the Mustang pull that off? Simple. The Cammer could rev higher and push its power more efficiently over a short distance, making it deadly in drag races. The Hemi had brute force for days, but the Cammer knew how to turn every bit of its punch into acceleration, giving it the edge on a tight stretch. And it wasn't just straight-line racing. On twisty road courses, the Cammer could keep its composure at high revs, holding speed through corners like a champ. The Hemi, meanwhile, shined on long, grueling tracks and endurance races, letting its torque and reliability dominate the grind. The 60s motorsport scene wasn't just racing, it was war. Ford and Chrysler went all in, each armed with a mechanical marvel that pushed the boundaries of what engines could do. Innovation clashed with raw power, precision battled durability, and fans got to witness one of the fiercest rivalries in automotive history. So who really came out on top? That's a debate that still fires up car lovers everywhere. At the end of the day, both the Cammer and the Hemi bring something serious to the table. But the 427 Cammer's high-revving SOHC setup gives it a serious leg up when it comes to acceleration and handling, making it a beast in short races and road course action. The faster engine really comes down to context. On a straight drag strip, the Hemi's raw muscle might edge it out, but in tight sprints or twisty tracks, the Cammer's quick rev response and precision can steal the show. That high RPM magic isn't just numbers. It's a real-world advantage that shows off Ford's engineering brilliance. Both engines became iconic symbols for their brands, yet neither escaped the pressure cooker of rule changes, tech battles, and relentless innovation. The Ford Cammer and Chrysler Hemi didn't just compete. They defined an era of racing, pushing each other to extremes and carving their names permanently into automotive history. This isn't just a tale of engines. It's about grit, rivalry, and chasing victory no matter what. Ford versus Chrysler, Cammer versus Hemi, a showdown that reshaped motorsports and proved legends aren't born. They're forged in the heat of battle. Now that you've seen how these two titans stack up, we want to hear from you. Who gets the crown? The precision, high-rev fury of the Cammer, or the brute force dominance of the Hemi? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the debate alive. And hey, 98% of our viewers aren't subscribed yet, so if you hit like and smash that subscribe button, it seriously helps us grow in ways you can't imagine. Don't forget to check out our other videos and let us know which cars you want us to feature next. We're always ready to dive into the next legendary showdown.